Achieving Success with Olivia Atkin. I'm your host, Olivia Atkin. Each week, we will discuss the roadmap of achieving your personal and professional success. We give you real-life stories on growing personally and professionally to achieve your life and career goals with the help of some top-notch guests. Today, we are speaking with Bhupendra Chaudhary. Bhupendra is a visionary researcher, philosopher, and author whose work is reshaping the landscape of self-discovery and human potential. He's the creator of the Meta Awakening, a transformative technique and methodology designed to empower individuals to lead lives of clarity, purpose, and resilience. Bhupendra is also the author of the book Corporate Black Holes, a groundbreaking exploration of the unseen forces that shape corporate life. As an internationally recognized peak performance strategist, entrepreneur, investor, trainer, speaker, healer, and corporate consultant, he has consistently demonstrated an extraordinary ability to navigate the complex business environments with insight and innovation. Through the Meta Awakening, Bhupendra has developed practical techniques that help individuals uncover their real selves, enabling them to achieve a harmonious balance between thought and action, as well as between emotional and practical aspects of life. His mission is to make life meaningful by infusing joy, love, success, prosperity, and passion into every endeavor. You can find Bhupendra on LinkedIn by searching Bhupendra Chaudhary or by going to his website, bhupendrachaudhary.com, or on Instagram by searching Bhupendra Chaudhary or emailing him at bhupendra.soul@gmail.com. Hello, Bhupendra. It's fantastic having you on the show today.
Oh, thank you, Olivia. It's a pleasure to be here.
To start off the show, can you tell me what success means and looks like to Bhupendra Chaudhary?
Oh, certainly. Success, the way I perceive it, is not a milestone, but a state of being. For me, success is not measured by wealth, titles, or external achievements alone, but by how deeply one has awakened to their own consciousness and how aligned they are with their purpose. So for me, success is about achieving a state of inner harmony and where every action flows from a space of clarity, joy, and contribution. And we often believe that success is destination, an end goal that we must chase relentlessly. But the reality is, true success is in being fully present in the journey, in experiencing each moment with complete awareness and engagement. It is about living with a sense of fulfillment, where work becomes an expression of our highest self rather than a means to an external reward. And if you talk about my journey, I have seen that real success is when we transcend self-imposed limitations, embrace self-awareness, and move beyond fear into freedom. It is when we experience joy, not as an occasional reward, but as a natural state of our existence. And success to me is not just about achieving personal greatness, but about elevating the collective consciousness, helping others realize their potential, and creating a world where fulfillment and happiness are accessible to all. Is there any question? Like, I heard something from the background. I'm so sorry to interrupt it. Oh, okay.
No, you're good.
Okay, so for me, success also encompasses a sense of flow where life does not feel like a struggle, but a creative expression of who we are. This is why self-awareness plays such a crucial role in defining success. And without it, we can chase external achievements endlessly and still feel empty. But when we operate from awareness and higher level of awareness, every moment becomes an opportunity to engage fully, contribute meaningfully, and experience joy. And moreover, true success cannot be divorced from inner peace. I have seen many individuals who have climbed the corporate ladder, amassed wealth, and gained recognition, yet remain deeply unfulfilled. And this is because they have externalized success without cultivating their inner world. My work revolves around bringing people back to this realization that real success is a balance of outer achievements and inner fulfillment, where both aspects coexist harmoniously. I think
And
I
I
understand.
and I think that's really important too. And what you're saying is that's also why I started the podcast and called it Achieving Success, because we should always be working towards that next goal and alignment and understanding too that one of the only things that constantly changes is change. And so it's the only one, ingredient we know is going to happen in our everyday life. So we need to realize that. And like you said, instead of making it the end goal, continuously working towards that. And a big aspect of that is understanding our self-awareness. What are we realizing about ourselves? What do we want to improve on? How do we want to make that impact? It all goes hand in hand to continuously elevate not just ourselves, but how we make the impact on the world as well. Bhupendra, as the creator of the Meta Awakening and the author of Corporate Black Holes, you've dedicated your life to helping people uncover their true potential and shift their mindset towards peak performance. But transformation often begins with that pivotal moment. Can you share the defining experience or realization in your life that led you on the path of this research and devoting yourself to this work?
Absolutely. You mentioned rightly about self-awareness, and my journey into consciousness and self-awareness, self-inquiry, and transformation was not just a straight path. Uh, the defining moment for me came in phases rather than a single event. However, one of the most transformative realizations happened when I was deeply engaged in the corporate world, witnessing high performers struggling with internal conflicts, leaders achieving external success but feeling an emptiness inside, and individuals trapped in an endless loop of ambition without fulfillment. At one point, I found myself questioning the very fabric of ambition and success. I saw individuals with immense potential being held back, not by external circumstances, but by their own unconscious patterns. And this led me to a period of deep contemplation and self-inquiry, during which I began to observe the mind more closely, its fears, its desires, and its constant need for validation. We always seek a lot of validations from others, people who are around us in part of our world. And I had always been drawn to philosophy, metaphysics, and the deeper aspects of existence. But it was during a moment of deep reflection that I truly saw that illusion that governs most of our lives, that we are conditioned to believe that our worth is tied to our achievements, our identity to our professions, and our happiness to external validation. And these are constructs of the mind. True transformation begins when we recognize that we are not the mind, we are not the body, and we are not the thought, but we are consciousness itself. And this realization led me to dive deep into the teachings of great masters, particularly Sri Raman Maharshi, his approach to self-inquiry, asking a simple and profound question. And you can say it's its most ancient question, as ancient as humanity itself: who am I? And that became a pivotal practice for me. It dismantled the layers of false identity and brought forth an awareness that shifted everything. The more I explored, the more I saw that suffering is not caused by circumstances, but by identification with limiting beliefs. And from there, my work became clear: to help individuals, leaders, and organizations transcend those limitations, awaken their inner genius, and operate from a space of awareness rather than compulsion. Another defining moment, if I talk about, was observing the energy dynamics in organizations. I saw how individuals, even those in powerful leadership positions, were constantly operating from a place of fear: fear of losing control, fear of judgment, fear of being inadequate. And this fear created an atmosphere of stress and burnout. Even among the most successful professionals, it was then that I realized that external success without internal mastery leads to exhaustion rather than fulfillment. And I began integrating spiritual principles with business strategy from that moment. and started causing leaders to shift their ego-driven leadership to consciousness-driven leadership. And that the moment when I coined conscious leadership, this term. This shift, when practiced with self-inquiry and self-awareness, became the key differentiator between those who merely achieved success and those who lived it. The transformation was profound. People breaking free from their limitations and were also experiencing a newfound sense of purpose, fulfillment, and boundless energy. And the practice is very simple, stupid simple. This journey has now become my life's work. I have dedicated myself to bridging the gap between ancient wisdom and this modern science, showing individuals and organizations how to cultivate inner clarity, expand their levels of consciousness, and operate from a space of joy and freedom. My research continues to evolve, but the core realization remains unchanged, that real transformation happens when we move from the compulsion of the mind to the awareness of consciousness.
And I want to continue to talk about transformation and barriers and what holds us back. But before we get into that, can you just define what conscious leadership embodies and what it is? Because I know we're going to talk more about it, and it is a great concept. I want to just make it clear, when we say conscious leadership, what does that look like?
See, we have heard a lot of different dynamics about leadership, like democratic, autocratic, or laissez-faire. But I think when they defined these terms of leadership, we were having a different environment. We were living in a different atmosphere. Now, after this COVID especially, all the dynamics have been changed, and they are changing rapidly. Every day, every minute, we are encountering with something new, something more profound, something more challenging. So you cannot be static in terms of your decision-making abilities when the whole world is changing, when all dynamics around leadership are changing. You cannot remain static. You need to be adaptive. You need to be agile. You need to be flexible. You need to work on the elasticity of your understanding of your ideas. When we talk about conscious leadership, it means how empathetic you are, how human-centric you are, how compassionate you are, whether you are focusing merely on just achieving your goals, or you are focusing on a holistic development, not only on your organization, but the people who are working there. Because the most precious asset in any organization is human being. Human is the most precious asset. And if you are not nurturing this asset, if you are not securing this asset, if you are not helping to use that asset wisely and precisely, then one day we will exhaust, and definitely then it would be a great setback for your organization also. When we call organization, what does it mean? Organization is not, there is no organization without people. And how do we nurture our people? That is completely and primarily a responsibility of leaders who are leading the organization. So if you really want to thrive in today's time, you cannot just focus on profit making. Rather than, you should take a balanced approach where wealth creation comes with a complete well-being of those people also who are working for you tirelessly day and night. So conscious leadership is primarily focusing on your conscious decision-making ability, your decisions with clarity, your decisions with futuristic goals, your decision which have less potential or less possibility to go wrong. So when we talk about conscious leadership, it means you are operating from the higher degree of consciousness or higher level of awareness. So you are considering all the environmental situations and scenarios, as well as the capacity and capabilities and limitations of people who are working with you. And you are setting a realistic goal in that real time, keeping yourself in present moment. Conscious leadership is mainly focusing on keeping yourself in this moment, in present moment. And when you are operating from this moment, from this very moment, it means there is no past attachment, there is no future anxiety, and you are very much part of this moment. And I'm sure that none of your decision can go wrong if you are making your decisions in this moment. But when your decisions are driven or impacted by your past impressions, your past experiences, and impacting by your future anxieties or fear of future outcomes, then definitely there must be some kind of alterations in your decisions and so the outcome. So conscious leadership is primarily focusing on being in present, considering your atmosphere and environmental challenges, considering people, current situations and scenarios, their limitations and their aspirations. So including everything, it's like a holistic approach. You are taking a snapshot of everything, whatever is existing in your world, and then you are making decisions. And I think that's a nutshell explanation of this conscious leadership.
I think it's so powerful to do that, right? We all try to make sure in our everyday lives we're balanced, we're healthy, we're thinking mind and body, we're thinking all these avenues. Why not tie that into business and how we lead? I think so many individuals, you touched upon this earlier in that explanation as well, it's results driven. It's okay if we just get to here, it doesn't matter how we got to there or how we treat each other, we just got to get this result. And that the aspect of communicating with each other's around us. So many people, I recently had a conversation with someone, I'm like, the power of business and growing is really in relationship building, not necessarily lead generations or, all these tools. Tools are used as a way we can lean on them for support, right? And build, just like our own personal toolbox we might have in our consciousness. How do we read body language? How do we do this? But if it's the only thing you're going by, it could be the detrimental thing that hurts you instead of helps you. So I think so many leaders in today's society, especially corporations, needs to start going by what do we need to do now? How do we need to approach this now? And as you got, like you said, you have to make the decisions based on where you are today. Because if you let past biases or future fears stand in your way, even though you say, okay, we're going to hold to make a decision, you're making the decision in real time anyway. But Bhupendra, that being said, you've worked with CEOs, industry leaders, and individuals from all walks of life, guiding them through profound transformations, as you just touched upon. From your experience, what is the single most common barrier that holds people back from awakening to their real selves? And how does your research help them break through that limitation?
It's really a profound question. I love this question, Olivia. The single most common barrier that holds people back from awakening to their real selves is the deeply ingrained attachment to identity and the belief that we are the sum of our accomplishments, roles, and external validations. We build a persona over the years, shaped by society, expectations, fears, and past experiences. And this persona becomes a prison. And people get trapped in their own stories, mistaking these narratives for who they truly are. And the tragedy is that many don't even realize they are trapped. They chase success, relationships, and material comforts in an attempt to they feel complete, yet there remains an underlying restlessness and unspoken void that no achievement seems to fill. And the reason is simple. True fulfillment does not come from acquiring more, but from understanding who we are beneath it all. And through my work, I have seen brilliant leaders, high achievers, and deeply talented individuals struggle with a constant sense of inadequacy. And no matter how much they accomplish, they are haunted by an inner critic that whispers, "You are not enough. You need to do more. You need to prove yourself." And this voice isn't theirs. It's the conditioning of society, upbringing, and an unconscious need to be validated by others. And this is precisely the barrier that keeps them from true awakening. And the antidote is awareness. My research, rooted in self-inquiry, self-awareness, helps people recognize this pattern and they can dismantle it. Not through forced positivity or surface level, superficial self-help tactics, but by going to the very root of their beliefs. When a person starts asking the fundamental question, who am I beneath my achievements, my failures, my fears, something remarkable happens. They start to see that they are not their story. They are the consciousness witnessing that story. And this witness consciousness, when this realization dawns, there is an unmistakable shift. The person who once measured their worth by external achievements starts to experience a sense of inner freedom. They no longer feel the need to prove themselves to the world. They lead, create, and contribute not out of fear, but out of an overflowing sense of clarity and purpose. And one of the most powerful breakthroughs I have witnessed was with a CEO who had built a multi-million-dollar company, yet felt empty and anxious every single day. He has a lot of anxieties and fear, and he was a lot of medications. I found that he had everything: wealth, recognition, influence, but he couldn't sleep at night. And this is the case. You may find people around you as well. You may encounter with a lot of people who are like that. And when we began the process of self-inquiry, I met him and he shared his deeds with me, his problems with me. I simply just asked him a couple of questions and I helped him to understand what is this self-inquiry, how can he practice. And the first reaction I received from him, the damn resistance. He refused. And the first resistance is like obvious thing for me. Every time people say, oh, it's so simple. Would it really work? Because our brain is like so complex and it loves complexities. If you give it to anything very simple, the first thing your brain, your mind does, reject it. And this is a common phenomena. So he also rejected. And then after a while, he said that I'm not a person who can do this because spirituality is something which I cannot pursue. I am a businessman. I know numbers. I know profit. I know loss. But this is something beyond my thing. And so how could I practice it? It is not giving me any advantage or anything. I just simply asked him that there's no harm in testing something, because business means what? You do a lot of testings, you do innovation, you pivot, you shift, you include your feedback, and you make a lot of changes. Just consider it as part of your innovation or part of your business and just do it on yourself. Once, if it works for you, then continue with it. If it doesn't, then leave it. There's no harm in testing. So finally he started, and then he said, okay, let me try it. And he was accustomed to solving external problems because his orientation was fully outward, not inward. While self-inquiry means when you look inward. So, but the moment he asked himself, what am I chasing? What am I running from? The truth hit him like a wave. And he wasn't chasing success. He was running from his own fear of being seen and inadequate. And this fear had driven every decision in his life. That moment of realization changed everything for him. He stopped operating from anxiety and started leading from a space of awareness and authenticity. And the result, the outcome was equally impacted his business. His business flourished even more, not because he was working harder, but because he was working from a place of clarity and self-trust. His relationships improved and his stress dissolved. And most importantly, he found a sense of peace he never thought possible. And this is the power of breaking through identity attachment. When people finally see through the illusion that they must become something to be worthy, they step into their real selves. Their unshakable, limitless, authentic being, that's when they truly awaken. What I want every listener to take away from this is that you are not what the world has told you to be. You are far greater than your success and failures. The moment you stop chasing an idea of yourself and you start exploring the truth of who you already are, who you really are, life transforms in ways you cannot imagine.
And I think that's really important to identify too, going back to what you were saying in the beginning, is also identifying what drives you. What are you chasing, or what is fulfilling you? Because that, like I also said earlier, it changes. And you have to have the real conversations, whether it's in a group setting or one-on-one or with yourself, of like, where do I sit now? And I recently remember having a conversation, like twofold. One with an individual who was telling me, "Oh, Olivia, like, you have everything. What drives you? What keeps you going? You know, why do you keep doing this?" And I was like, to make that impact. I don't, like, why wouldn't I help others use their voice? You know, this and that. It isn't about me and hitting that monetary goal. It's about how can I help others make that positive impact. And they're like, oh, so, and like they asked me a follow-up. And again, I was like, it goes back to making the impact. What is the impact you want to make? And they asked me a third question. And I went back to that point and they're like, you're really focusing in on this impact. And I'm like, I don't need to be driven by money. Money will come when you do the things that drive you, where you are your true self. And the other part of, the different conversation I had recently with someone about where they stand today, like what life looks like. And growing up and currently living in Alaska, which is a very different environment than growing up in Northeast America, where it's like, hit these poll marks, and you achieve success. You go to school, you go to college, you have to follow this trajectory, or most trajectories, and then you're successful. Here, it's a very different tone. It's a different way of living. And I was going up a mountain to ski down, and they're like, what makes you successful? It was actually, I was having a ski instructor, and she looked at me and she's like, well, what do you do outside of this? And like, we're having this conversation, and I was like, I'm successful right now. The fact on a Friday, I get to be surrounded by the snow and the sky and seeing these different views and seeing all these different things. I I'm good. I'm happy. I'm fulfilled, because it isn't just about what's happening in the work environment and getting all these tasks done. It's about being able to cherish these moments as well, that makes it so important and rewarding. Because to your point, when you're driven and you're in that mindset too, of just go, 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 get this done, get that done, get the next thing done, you don't get those moments of clarity. You don't get those moments of, wow, look how pretty my surrounding is. Look how, like, all the things that had to come into play. So what I'm doing right now could be happening. And that being said, once someone recognizes their barrier that you just brought up and the thing that's holding them back, and begins their journey of transformation, sustaining the growth can be challenging, right? It's
Right.
that wise old tale too of just like, New Year's hit, everyone signs up for the gym membership, and within 30 days, now the gym has all your money because you signed up for a
Absolutely.
year and you're never going. In your experience, what are the key practices or mindset shifts that allow people to not only break through that, but continue evolving and integrating these changes into their everyday life? Because that's ultimately the goal. It's not one and done.
Absolutely. And this is a question that speaks to the heart of transformation. That awakening to one's real self is a powerful, often life-changing experience, but the real challenge begins afterward, sustaining that awareness in everyday life amidst responsibilities, distractions, chaos, and deeply ingrained habits. The reason many people struggle to maintain their growth is that they treat transformation as an event rather than a way of being. The first key mindset shift is understanding that transformation is not a peak moment. It is a practice. It's a continuous journey. People often expect a single breakthrough to change everything permanently, but just as physical fitness, as you said rightly, requires that when you go to a gym, it requires ongoing efforts. So does inner growth. You can't build your body in one day. You have to you have to be consistent in your everyday 45 minutes to 60 minutes physical workout. So same thing is applicable on this inner transformation as well. A single moment of clarity is like a seed. It must be nurtured daily through awareness, intention, and discipline. One of the most effective ways to sustain transformation is through conscious observation. It's called like self-awareness. So most people fall back into old patterns because they get absorbed in the moment of daily life, the momentum they are going through. They just fall back in that daily life patterns because of those hardwiring. And they react out of habit rather than responding with awareness. And the practice of conscious observation or self-awareness, watching your thoughts, emotions, and reactions without judgment, creates a gap between stimulus and responses. And in that gap between stimulus and responses, real choice exists. The ability to pause, reflect, and choose a higher response is the foundation of sustained transformation. And another critical shift is letting go of perfectionism, because everyone looks for perfection. And perfection is something which is not possible for any individual, because I think in a previous brief conversation, I mentioned that human being is not a final product of this nature. We are going through the process of evolution. When we itself are not a final product, how can we look for perfection in ourselves? And that is a kind of an understanding people should have. So many people experience profound change, but then feel frustrated when they fall back into old behaviors. And they think, I should have already evolved past this. But real transformation is not linear. It's cyclical. Growth happens in spirals. We revisit the same challenges, but each time from a higher level of awareness. The key is to meet yourself with compassion rather than self-judgment. Instead of thinking, I failed, ask yourself, what is this teaching me now? What is a learning in this moment for me now? And this turns setbacks into stepping stones rather than obstacles. Then there is the practice of daily integration. So transformation cannot be something separate from life. It must be woven into the fabric of how you live. And this means bringing awareness into the simplest moments. How you wake up, how you listen to others, how you react to stress, how you breathe. The simplest acts done with presence reinforce your new state of being. And many people meditate in the morning, but lose awareness as soon as they check their emails. So the key is not just to practice in silence, but to bring that awareness into motion, into conversation, into decision making. And one of the most overlooked yet crucial elements is environment. If you want to sustain your transformation, you must consciously choose the people, places, and information that nourish your growth. Many people revert to old ways, not because they lack willpower, but because the environment constantly reinforces their past self. Surround yourself with those who reflect your higher potential. Engage with ideas that challenge, that expand you, and create spaces, both physically and mentally, that align with the person you are becoming. And another powerful practice is self-inquiry. This is like I love a lot. This is like my research based on. So simple, stupid simple. So I heard a term like KISS, keep it stupid simple, right? So when I explain anything related to self-inquiry, the people, as I said, that they reject it straightforward because it's so simple. But when they practice, they become slave of this practice. They just integrate it in their life and they don't leave it. So just as you don't clean your home once and consider it permanently clean, your mind and emotions need regular attention. And self-inquiry is very simple, very intriguing practice, which helps you to keep your inner home clean all the time. So asking yourself simple but profound questions daily. What am I believing right now? Is this thought aligned with my highest self? And creates a self-regulating system. It keeps you from slipping into unconscious patterns. When you keep asking certain questions, whether this thought is adding any value in me in this moment, why I'm keeping this thought, what is this thought adding in me in this moment? So perhaps the most important mindset shift is moving from seeking transformation to living transformation. So here, my whole perspective is not on seeking, but living. What are you living with? If you are just seeking, then most likely you will fall back in your habitual patterns. But if you are living this transformation, most likely there would be a permanent shift. It would be an incremental growth and development you can experience and others can experience in you. So many people are on an endless search, always reading, always consuming new insights, always looking for the next teaching. But true growth is not about accumulating this knowledge. It is about embodying wisdom. The moment you shift from seeking to being, everything changes. And the question is no longer, how can I transform? But how can I express the truth I already know? At this core, sustaining transformation is about presence, intention, and courage. And the courage to stay awake when the world invites you to go back to sleep. So the intention to show up each day with awareness and the presence to fully engage with life, not as a means to an end, but as a reflection of your highest self. If there is one thing I would want every listener to remember, that transformation is not about becoming someone new. It is about remembering who you have always been. The more you trust that truth and live it in each moment, the more natural and effortless your growth becomes.
And you just talked about stressors and stress environments and the external pressures as well through demonstrating what you were just talking about. In today's fast-paced world, let's be honest, it can get a lot sometimes. Many people feel like they're on that momentum, they're making positive change, and then they get stuck in the cycle of a stress comes up, a stressor moment. It could be answering those emails, it could be, you know, having calls back to back, the self-doubt or external pressures that keep them from fully awakening that potential you talk about, and the potential as well of like that self, that inner being. From your expertise, what is one simple but powerful shift, whether it's mindset, the daily practice you brought up, the perspective you've brought up in this conversation as well, that anyone listening can start implementing today and begin that transformation? Because as we have both discussed today as well, it's about all the small movements we're doing every day, not just that big one action step.
Yeah, and this is such an important question. Everyone seeks answer for such a profound question, Olivia. And because the reality is that most people are living in survival mode, constantly reacting, constantly chasing, constantly feeling like they are one step behind. And the world moves at an incredible pace. And in that speed, people lose themselves because there is a gap between their speed and the world speed. They are always looking for validations. They are looking behind, and then, but the world is not looking back. It is moving forward always, and that gap is just pushing them behind and behind. And they lose their presence, their clarity, and their connection to what truly matters. But the most powerful shift, the one that changes everything, is this: stop identifying with the mind's endless noise and start connecting with the presence that is already within you, that your real self. And let me explain. Most people believe they are their thoughts. If their mind says, I am not good enough, they believe it. If their mind says, I am too late to change, they believe it. So the mind is like an untamed river, constantly flowing with doubts, fears, and conditioned beliefs from the past. And if we don't recognize that we are not our thoughts, but the observer of them, we get carried away by every current, every wave of worry, every storm of stress. And so the first and most powerful shift is learning to observe your thoughts rather than becoming them. The moment you can witness a thought without immediately believing it, you reclaim your power. You realize that you are not the voice of doubt, you are the awareness behind it. And in that awareness, transformation begins. How do you practice this? It's incredibly simple, but deeply profound. Start by pausing before you react. Just a 3-second pause before you respond to an email or any conversation. Before you react to stress, before you follow a thought down a negative spiral, in those 3 seconds, take a deep breath and simply ask yourself, is this thought true? Is this thought real? Is this emotion necessary? What is the one witnessing all of this? Who is that witnesser? Who is witnessing all this? That small pause is the entry point into awareness. It's like waking up in the middle of a dream and realizing, I don't have to follow this storyline. I can step out of it. That realization is so powerful. And the second shift is learning to anchor yourself in the present moment. Like stress, self-doubt, and pressure exist because people live either in the regrets of the past or the anxieties of the future. They are rarely fully here. And yet everything, the peace, the clarity, the power is only available in this moment. You cannot find peace, clarity, and power in past or in future, but you can experience it if you are fully present here in this moment. So present is the key. This moment is the key. And one of the simplest and most effective ways to anchor yourself in the present is what I call conscious micro moments. So throughout the day, just stop. Stop and feel the air on your skin. Stop and listen to the sounds around you. Stop and take one intentional breath. These small moments reconnect you with life, with presence. And the more you practice them, the more you realize that the mind's chaos is just background noise. You don't have to live inside it. And the third shift is replacing pressure with curiosity. The reason most people feel stuck is because they are constantly pressuring themselves to be someone, to achieve something, to get somewhere. But real transformation doesn't happen under pressure. It happens in openness. It happens with utmost happiness when you love, when you celebrate your moment, when your decisions are not coming out of fear, but out of joy, that you want to bring a collective growth, you want to bring a collective shift, not in your life, but in the lives of others who are dependent on you. Imagine if instead of judging yourself, you became curious about yourself. Instead of saying, I should be better by you, what if you ask, what is this moment trying to teach me? Instead of saying, I need to fix myself, what if you asked, who am I beyond all of these expectations? So curiosity shifts everything. It replaces shame with exploration. It turns growth into a journey instead of a burden. And most importantly, it keeps you engaged with life because every moment becomes an opportunity to learn, to expand, to experience something new. And finally, if there is one thing I want every listener to take away, It's this: stop waiting for transformation to happen to you. Realize that it is happening through you in every breath, in every moment, in every choice you make. So you don't have to wait for the perfect conditions. You don't need to grand awakening. The transformation begins the moment you decide to become present, become available. The moment you stop running from yourself, the moment you realize that underneath the noise of the mind, there is something unshakable, something limitless, something already free, and that something is you, the real you. And the only thing you need to do is start listening to it.
Bhupendra, this conversation has been incredibly insightful, and I know the listeners are going to walk away with so much value. Before we wrap up, I'd love for you to share more about your upcoming book and Corporate Black Holes. What inspired you to write it, and how does it expand on transformational principles we've discussed today?
Thank you, Olivia. I truly appreciate this space to discuss something that is deeply personal to me, corporate black holes. This is not just a book. It's a mirror reflecting the silent struggles of modern professionals. From ambitious newcomers to high-powered executives, it is about the hidden forces within corporate structures that drain individuals of their vitality, creativity, and most importantly, their sense of self, their sense of life. The inspiration for this book came from years of working with leaders and professionals who, despite their success on paper, felt emotionally exhausted, disconnected from their own aspirations, and trapped in a cycle of upliftment or unfulfilling work. I saw how intelligent, capable individuals enter the corporate world with passion and purpose, only to find themselves gradually consumed by the relentless pursuit of results, performance metrics, and a culture that often reward burnout rather than brilliance. And what struck me most was the pattern across industries, across geographies, across levels of experiences. There was a silent epidemic of dissatisfaction, a collective exhaustion that no one wanted to talk about openly. People were afraid to admit that, despite their achievements, they felt something was missing. That realization is what led me to write Corporate Black Holes. And at its core, this book explores the paradox of professional success. How can a person achieve everything they once dreamed of and still feel a void inside? What is it about certain corporate environments that strip away an individual's sense of meaning and autonomy? And most importantly, how can one escape the gravitational pull of these black holes while still thriving in their career? So the book builds on the transformational principles we discussed today. Most of those principles we covered, like conscious awareness, self-inquiry, and the power of reclaiming your identity from external definitions. But it does so in a way that is deeply practical. It isn't about rejecting the corporate world. It's about understanding how to navigate it without losing yourself in the process. And one of the key themes in corporate black holes is the illusion of productivity. So many professionals believe that working longer hours, answering emails at midnight, and being constantly available equates to value. But this is one of the biggest illusions we have been sold. True productivity is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters from a place of clarity, energy, and alignment. The book explores how to redefine success in a way that serves both your career and your well-being rather than sacrificing one for the other. And another critical concept I explore is emotional energy leaks. You might have heard this first time. So how seemingly small interactions, toxic work cultures, and the pressure to conform slowly drain people of their enthusiasm and originality. So many professionals don't even realize they are in a corporate black holes until they wake up one day feeling numb, questioning why they even started in the first place. So this book helps them recognize this signs and, more importantly, create a personal framework to protect their energy, creativity, and personal power. For those who feel stuck, corporate black holes serves as both a wake-up call and a guide. It will help readers understand whether they are being slowly pulled into a work culture and that is diminishing their potential, and if so, how they can break free. But breaking free doesn't necessarily mean quitting a job. It means redefining how you engage with your work. It means learning how to set boundaries without guilt, how to maintain a sense of self while excelling professionally, and how to shift from working as a cog in the machine to leading with authenticity. And one of the most powerful aspects of the book is its practical strategies for personal and professional realignment. I provide tools to help readers assess their current work situation, identify where they are losing themselves, and take tangible steps to regain control over their time, their mental space, and their aspirations. There are exercises, real life stories from individuals who have successfully transformed their corporate experiences, and frameworks to help professionals design a work life that doesn't deplete them, but empowers them. So I want readers to walk away from this book with a deep understanding that their worth is not defined by corporate success alone, that their identity is not tied to their job titles, that they do not have to conform to outdated definitions of productivity and ambition, that they can, in fact, thrive in their careers without sacrificing their soul in the process. And at the end of the day, corporate black holes is a call to action, a call to professionals at every level to awaken, to become aware of the unconscious patterns that are keeping them stuck, to reclaim their inner freedom, and to lead from a place of authenticity rather than fear.
Bhupendra, sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
Bhupendra, how can people get in touch with you if they want to connect with you?
Yeah, they can visit my website or reach out on LinkedIn or connect through the Meta Awakening platform. There are multiple domains available. They can search my name on Google. They can find some links and they can reach out to me directly. And
well, thank you, Bhupendra, for all of your insight today.
Oh, thank you, Olivia, for this opportunity to share. I genuinely believe this conversation is one that needs to be had more often because the more we bring awareness to this, the more we can change not just individual lives, but entire workplaces, entire industries, and individuals, and can say society and communities as well. So
I couldn't agree more. And a few of our key takeaways from today's conversation includes transformation begins when you realize you are bigger than mind, body, and we are consciousness. And it's our consciousness that drives us, as well as a big question that I love that Bhupendra brought up that I'm challenging everyone to ask themselves is, who are you? Fundamentally, who are you? As well as conscious leadership, keeping yourself in the present moment, not looking at the past and taking past biases, not looking into the future as fears Bhupendra and I talked about earlier. It's really about being here. It's Bhupendra talked about it's making decisions based on what is going on in your environment, making sure you're centered, making sure you're touching base and leading people first in that moment. As well as the biggest thing holding us back is our tie to identity. Your identity doesn't mean who you are. I love that Bhupendra brought this up because we really have to think about sometimes, what is that thing holding us back? And a lot of times it's how we identify ourselves. Are we someone that says they can do anything and go towards it no matter, what might lie ahead? Is it someone who is driven by fear? Is it those successes Bhupendra talked about earlier of just, checking boxes, but really asking ourselves not what we identify ourselves as or what others identify ourselves as, but who we fundamentally are, as well as that 3-second pause before you react to anything. Those emails, those stressor conversations. It's such an important thing to do is take that deep breath, pause 3 seconds, and then react. In those 3 seconds, like Bhupendra brought up, so much can change. You can get clarity, you can get stance on it, and it can change the whole way you look at throughout the day. Because let's be honest, sometimes when we get that email, that call, and we get worked up, it then drives everything else we do throughout the day. And the last thing I want to leave the listeners with is one last challenge. This episode, we're having 2 challenges for you guys. The second one is asking yourself, what are you chasing? Think about that. What are you chasing today? This was a great episode with our top-notch guest, Bhupendra Chaudhary. Thank you for listening and have a successful day.